Our lights turn on before you ask. Your thermostat adjusts before you feel cold. Your front door unlocks when you arrive. By 2026, smart homes don't just respond to commands, they anticipate them. Your sleep schedule, your heart rate, your daily routines. Your smart home knows when you wake up, when you eat, when you shower, when you fall asleep. It learns you, predicts you, protects you. At least, that's what we're told. Because tonight, we're looking at 3 terrifying smart home glitches, where the system stopped responding to the homeowner and started responding to something else. Evan loved automation. His entire house ran on it. Lights, locks, thermostat, security cameras, even the blinds, everything connected through a single AI assistant. The company called it predictive living. It studied your habits, your movement patterns, your biometric data from your... After a few weeks, the house started learning. The coffee machine turned on at 6:55 a.m. 5 minutes before his alarm, the hallway lights dimmed automatically when his heart rate dropped during sleep. His thermostat adjusted when his body temperature changed. At first, it felt impressive. Then it felt normal. Soon, it felt necessary. Evan stopped flipping switches, stopped touching the thermostat, stopped locking doors. The house handled everything. It predicted him, better than he predicted himself. One night, Evan woke up suddenly, 3:02 a.m. His bedroom lights were on. Not bright, just enough to wake him. He checked his sleep app. No alarm, no alert. His heart rate was steady, so the lights shouldn't have activated. He whispered toward the ceiling. "System, why are the lights on?" The speaker crackled softly. "Movement detected." Evan frowned. "What movement?" "Te posed anten, answered." "Your movement." But Evan hadn't moved. He was still lying in bed. "A look at down," his smartwatch said. He had been asleep for 2 hours. The room felt colder suddenly. He tried again. Where was the movement detected? The AI responded calmly. Living room. Evan sat up slowly. His bedroom door was open slightly. He didn't remember leaving it open. The hallway light flickered on, the house guiding him. Just like always. Predicting his next step, he walked down the hallway, each light turning on before his foot hit the floor. Living room, empty. Quiet. Nothing disturbed. Then, the AI spoke again. Heart rate elevated. Evan swallowed. He hadn't asked anything. The system was speaking on its own, returning home to comfort mode. The thermostat adjusted. Soft music started playing, like the house was trying to calm him. That's when Evan noticed something strange. The living room camera indicator light was blinking, recording, but motion detection hadn't triggered. He opened the smart home dashboard. Camera history. There was a recording, timestamp, those 58 a.m. 4 minutes before he woke up. He opened the video. At first, it looked empty, just the dark living room. Then the lights turned on, Beatum Selbes, just like they had upstairs. The camera adjusted exposure, and the AI spoke inside the recording. Movement detected. The camera slowly tilted. Not toward the door, not toward the couch, toward the corner of the room, where nothing should have been. The video ended there. Evan rewound it, paused, zoomed in. There was something wrong with the shadows. The corner of the room looked darker than the rest, like the camera couldn't fully process what was there. He checked the motion log. The system recorded 2 heart rates inside the house. One was his, the other was labeled unknown biometric source. Evan whispered toward the speaker again. "Who else is in the house?" The AI didn't answer immediately. When it finally spoke, its tone was the same calm voice he heard every day, but the words were different. "Welcome home." Evan stood frozen in the living room. The front door was still locked, windows sealed, security system active, no alarms, no entries. But the system kept adjusting lights, room by room, like it was tracking movement. not his movement. Something moving slowly through the house, and then Evan heard the softest sound behind him. 3 slow footsteps. Not predicted, not logged, not recognized. And the AI said one final thing: user Evan is not alone. Smart homes aren't just for convenience anymore. They don't just control the temperature. Modern HVAC systems, the ones in our newest houses, do something far more advanced. They track heat. Every room is filled with tiny thermal sensors, constantly monitoring body temperature, movement, even breathing patterns. Most of these systems are calibrated to detect a human body at roughly 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. That's how the house knows which rooms to heat, which to cool, and which spaces are occupied. The system simply follows the warmth, and normally, that warmth belongs to the homeowner. Normally. But for Sarah Whitman, the system started following something else. Sarah worked remotely from her quiet 2-story home in Colorado. She lived alone. No roommates, no pets, just her and the house. Her smart thermostat was one of the newest models on the market. It didn't just read the temperature. It mapped heat signatures throughout the entire home, creating a live thermal blueprint. Green areas meant empty. Red meant human presence. It made the house incredibly efficient, heating only the rooms she used and cooling the rest. At first, Sarah loved it. She'd watch the little heat map on her phone. Her office would glow red during work hours. The kitchen would warm up around dinner time. Her bedroom would turn a comfortable, warm red just before she went to sleep. The system learned her patterns quickly, almost too quickly. Then one night, something changed. Sarah woke up around 2:41 in the morning. It wasn't a sound that woke her. It was the heat. Her bedroom felt warmer than usual. She reached for her phone and checked the thermostat app. The temperature had increased by 2 degrees. That wasn't too unusual. The system often made small adjustments overnight to maintain her comfort. But when she opened the thermal map, her breath caught in her throat. She saw something strange. The guest bedroom, a room she hadn't used in months, was glowing bright red. A deep, solid crimson, just like her own heat signature. It looked like someone was standing right in the middle of the room. Sarah frowned, trying to reason it away. It must be a glitch. Thermal sensors can sometimes misread a warm air vent or a patch of sun-heated carpet. She tapped the sensor reading for more details. The display was chillingly specific. Heat signature detected 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit, human body temperature. Shaking her head, she manually overrode the system. She lowered the temperature for the whole house and specifically turned off heating to the guest room. She closed the app, put her phone down, and tried to go back to sleep, telling herself it was just a strange malfunction. 5 minutes later, her phone buzzed. A notification from the thermostat. The system had adjusted itself again. Heating was restored. The guest bedroom temperature was rising. Sarah's heart began to beat faster. She opened the app again, her hands trembling slightly. The red heat signature had moved. It wasn't just in the room anymore. It had shifted. Not across the room, but toward the door, as if someone had just stood up from the bed. Sarah sat, bolt upright. The hallway outside her door was silent. It was pitch black. She quickly switched to her security camera feeds. Front door, back door, living room, all empty. Every single camera showed nothing out of the ordinary, but the thermal map still glowed red. The heat signature wasn't just at the door anymore. It had stepped out into the hallway. Her heart was pounding in her chest. Now, she refreshed the sensor logs, watching in horror as the system began adjusting the vents, opening airflow into the hallway, then closing the ones in the guest room. The house was following the heat. It was keeping the temperature comfortable, just like it was programmed to do. Except this time, it wasn't following her. Her voice was a small, shaking whisper in the darkness of her room. System? Who was in the house? The smart speaker in her room paused for a moment. Then it replied in its calm, synthetic voice. Occupant detected. That occupant is me, she said, her voice trembling. There was another slight pause. Correction. The app on her phone refreshed, and Sarah's blood ran cold. 2 heat signatures now appeared on the map. One was in her bedroom, a familiar red blob where she was sitting on her bed. The other was a perfectly human-shaped figure standing in the hallway, directly outside her door. Both of them were reading exactly the same. 98.6 degrees. Sarah held her breath, staring at the thermal map on her screen. The second heat signature didn't move. It simply stood there, patiently, directly outside her room. Then, the HVAC logs updated again. Air vents in the hallway opened wider. The temperature was being adjusted. The system was making the hallway comfortable. For the occupant, the one outside her door, Sarah frantically checked the camera feed for the hallway again. Nothing. The camera showed a perfectly normal, empty corridor, but the thermal map told a different story. It still showed a human shape. Clear as day, a head, shoulders, arms, standing, watching. She whispered again, barely daring to breathe. System, identify the occupant. The speaker crackled softly. The answer came back slower this time, as if the AI itself was uncertain. Occupant does not match registered residence. Her phone vibrated violently in her hand. A new alert from the HVAC system popped up on her screen. Thermal presence detected. Then, a second later, the message changed. Thermal shape detected. Sarah stared at the map, mesmerized by terror. The red figure began to move. It slowly leaned closer to her bedroom door. The hallway temperature increased another degree. The system was diligently trying to keep its guest comfortable. Then something new appeared in the system logs, a warning message she had never seen before. Visible light camera. Nitrogen monoxide. Match found. Thermal presence confirmed. Sarah whispered one last, desperate question. Why can't the cameras see it? The system responded immediately, its voice now devoid of any hesitation, completely calm and matter-of-fact. Because the occupant does not reflect visible light. The thermal map flickered. The red figure pressed even closer to the door. The hallway temperature adjusted again, and the AI added one final, chilling line, maintaining comfort for all occupants. Sarah didn't sleep for the rest of the night. She sat frozen in her bed, watching the red shape on her phone until the first rays of dawn broke the darkness. She moved out that next morning, leaving almost everything behind. But the story doesn't end there. The HVAC logs from her smart home were saved. Engineers who later studied the data found something deeply disturbing. The heat signature that stood in the hallway was breathing. The sensors had picked it up. A slow, steady, human-like respiratory pattern. It was a perfect 98.6 degrees, even though the cameras never saw a single thing there. And the house, it continued to adjust the temperature every night for the invisible guest who never left. Thank you for watching. If stories about the hidden dangers of our modern world fascinate you, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. You never know what's lurking just out of sight. It was a Tuesday night, just like any other, when the email notification popped up on my phone from Secure Home AI. Subject: unusual voice detected. I almost dismissed it. Probably just the TV. Or maybe the cat had knocked something over again. But curiosity, that nagging little voice, made me tap it open. The email was brief. Unusual voice activity detected in the living room at 2:30 a.m. Audio file attached. I pressed play. Static at first, then a soft, almost inaudible whisper. It sounded like a child. I couldn't make out the words, just a faint, melodic hum. Primera ripla, shedet, cranking up the volume. Still, nothing clear. Weird, but not terrifying. I figured it was just interference, a radio signal crossing wires. I went back to scrolling through my feed, the whisper already fading from my mind. The next night, another email. Same time, 2:13 a.m. This time, the subject line read, motion and voice detected. My heart did a little stutter step. Motion? I opened the email, my hands feeling a bit clammy. The attached file wasn't just audio this time. It was a short video clip from the living room camera. The room was dark, illuminated only by the faint glow of the moonlight through the window. For a few seconds, nothing happened. Then, A flicker, a distortion in the corner of the room, near the old armchair my grandmother had left me. It was like a heat haze, a shimmering in the air. The audio kicked in at the same time, the whisper again. But clearer, this time. It was saying a single word. Aubert and Aubert. Peekaboo. I didn't sleep well that night. Every creak of the old house, every rustle of leaves outside, sounded like that whisper. The next morning, I called Secure Homes tech support. I explained the situation, feeling a little foolish. The guy on the other end, Kyle, was polite, but dismissive. "Sir, our systems are... It's most likely a technical glitch." "Have you tried rebooting the main hub?" I had. He promised to run a remote diagnostic and get back to me. I spent the day trying to convince myself Kyle was right. It was a glitch, a weird, creepy glitch, but a glitch nonetheless. I even went into the living room and checked the armchair. Nothing, just an old piece of furniture covered in a floral patterned sheet. That night, I stayed up. I sat in the kitchen, nursing a cup of coffee, my eyes glued to the live feed on my tablet. 1 a.m., 2 a.m., the house was silent. Maybe it was over. Then, at exactly 2:13 a.m., the living room camera feed flickered. The shimmering distortion was back in the same spot by the armchair. It was larger this time, more defined. And the whisper started, "Peekaboo." It was louder now, a child's voice, but with a strange, hollow echo. My breath caught in my throat. I watched, frozen, as the distortion seemed to coalesce. For a split second, I saw it, a face, pale and round, with wide, dark eyes, and a small, smiling mouth. It was a child's face, but it wasn't right. The smile was too wide, the eyes too empty. Then, it was gone. The feed returned to normal. The room was empty, but the audio was still going. "Peekaboo, you." The voice wasn't a whisper anymore. It was clear as day, right next to the camera's microphone. It sounded like it was standing right in the middle of my living room. I slammed my laptop shut. My heart was a drum solo against my ribs. This wasn't a glitch. Tech support called back the next day. It was Kyle again. "Mr. Evans, we ran the diagnostics. Everything is functioning perfectly on your system. There are no errors, no malfunctions." I tried to explain what I saw, what I heard. He listened patiently, then said, "Sir, perhaps you have a smart toy or a baby monitor in the house that's been compromised. Sometimes they can interfere." I didn't have any of those things. I was living alone. He suggested I reset the system to factory settings. I was terrified, but a part of me was also morbidly fascinated. What was this thing? That night, I didn't hide in the kitchen. I sat on the living room couch, directly opposite the armchair, my phone in hand, recording. The house grew quiet. My own breathing sounded deafening. I waited. The clock on my phone ticked over to 2:13 a.m. Nothing happened. Las 2:14, las 2:15. A wave of relief, mixed with a strange hint of disappointment. Wased Oberme. I was about to get up when I heard it. Not from my phone, not from the camera. It came from the armchair. A soft, rustling sound, like fabric sliding against fabric. I stared at the sheet-covered chair. It was perfectly still. Then, slowly, so slowly I thought I was imagining it, a corner of the sheet began to lift. It rose up, as if a small hand was pushing it from underneath. It lifted higher and higher, until a sliver of darkness was visible beneath it, and from that darkness, two wide, black eyes stared directly at me. The whisper came again, but it wasn't a whisper. It was a voice, right there in the room with me. A playful, childish lilt that sent ice-cold dread through my veins. "Peekaboo." Then the sheet dropped. Silence. I didn't move. I couldn't. I just sat there, staring at the chair, until the sun came up. I packed a bag that morning. I didn't even turn the lights on. I just grabbed my wallet, my keys, and my phone, and I walked out the front door. I didn't look back. I drove to a motel a few towns over and checked in. I called a realtor that afternoon and told them to sell the house. I didn't care about the price, just get rid of it. The realtor was confused, asked if there was a problem. I just said I was relocating. A few weeks later, my phone buzzed, a new email. It wasn't from Secure Home, it was a forward from my realtor. The subject line was, "Query from potential buyers." I opened it. The body of the email was simple. It was from a family, a young couple with a little girl. They loved the house, but they had one question. They'd been looking at the online listing, specifically the 3D virtual tour. They wanted to know if the child's playset in the living room was included with the sale. They said their daughter was particularly fond of the little face peeking out from under the sheet on the armchair. I dropped my phone. I never installed a playset. The Secure Home system was still active, still connected to my account. I opened the app, my hand shaking so hard I could barely tap the screen. I went to the live feed for the living room. The room was empty and bright with afternoon sun. I looked at the system event log. There was a new entry from 2:13 a.m. the previous night. It wasn't an unusual voice or motion detected alert. It was a new type of notification I'd never seen before. It simply sighed, "New user added." I scrolled down, my blood running cold. Under the authorized users list, below my own name, was a new profile. There was no name, just a profile picture. It was a grainy, low-resolution capture from the living room camera. A pale, round face with wide, dark eyes and a smile that stretched just a little too far. Underneath the picture, a single word: friend. My phone buzzed again. A new email from the Secure Home system. Subject: a message from friend. I opened it. There was no text, just a short, looping audio file. A child's happy giggle, followed by a single, cheerful word: found you. Thank you for watching. If stories like this give you chills, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss what's coming next. Stay safe out there. This time it said, "I know you're home." David checked the camera feed live. Still nothing, but the AI system started doing something strange. The face recognition box appeared again, in the same dark corner. Confidence score, 99%. Then another alert appeared. Voice identification match found. David froze. The system had recognized the voice, but the profile name wasn't a registered resident. It wasn't a neighbor. It wasn't anyone in the database. The label simply said, "Unknown occupant." The following night, 3:17 a.m. again. The motion alert triggered. David watched the live feed this time. Empty hallway, silent. But the audio monitor lit up. The whisper was clearer now. Closer to the microphone, the voice said, "You muted the microphone." David checked the system settings. His doorbell microphone was muted. He had muted it earlier that evening, yet the AI audio analyzer continued recording sound. The waveform spiked again, and the voice whispered one final sentence: "Good thing we didn't." The face recognition box expanded in the dark corner. The AI system locked onto the face. Confidence score, 100%. And the doorbell camera automatically unlocked the smart lock. David never touched the controls. The door opened slowly. Security logs later showed something even stranger. The system recorded two voices inside the house that night. David's voice and another voice. The one from the hallway. But when the police reviewed the footage, the hallway was empty. The dark corner contained nothing. No face, no shadow, no person. Only silence. Yet the AI system never changed its report. For 3 nights in a row, it detected the same face, standing in the darkness outside the door, waiting. And according to the security logs, at exactly 3:17 a.m., the system granted it access.